Let's see. The Exchequer's handbook from society does say that all branches are required to prepare an annual operating budget. We have never really demanded that each group publish their budget. We rely on your good graces to follow the rules and keep that stuff in mind and do your best. And we don't plan to change any of our policies going forward. The 60-40 event split is again in place. If you have concerns about that policy, talk to me. We can discuss a variance. We can make arrangements with each group to do what's needed to make everyone succeed and make your group, your event profitable. It's simply in the rules, something to keep in mind. Putting a variance in place simply creates a document in your team's folder that says, we discussed this issue, we all agree that this is the best way to handle it, and it's a reminder for everybody what was decided. That's all a variance is. The guidelines for finances for a group, in a perfect world, each group should have enough finances in the bank in a savings account somewhere to manage for a year with no income. It's preferred that you can do that for 2 years. With no income, you can still function, you can run all your events with success. For a nonprofit group, and especially recovering from this difficult past 3 years, 4 years, that may be pretty optimistic, but I think we can do that. It's certainly a goal that we should be aiming for. Each branch should have 2 years assets set aside. And you can put your funds into a money market account, into a savings account, into a CD. There are a lot of options out there. If you have questions, contact me and I can help you make some decisions. But do please think of that goal of having 2 years operating costs set aside. And that should include being able to donate to the kingdom yearly, twice a year, whatever you feel your group feels comfortable with. The Society's Exchequer's Handbook has a very good chapter on how to put together a budget, what to think of for a budget, goals that your group should have. I highly recommend you review that. It's a very good resource. Going forward, one thing that we all need to remember to add to our budgets is the cost of registration systems like SCARS or PayPal. When you're putting together your fee structure for an event, remember that every time a credit card is used, there's a processing fee. So you need to remember that when you're setting your fee schedules, your gate schedules. Event insurance during the next couple of months right now, the SCA is waiving the late fee for insurance policies. So if your event is happening right after the opening, the June 1st opening, you will not be charged a late fee for your insurance coverage. So be thinking about insurance now. Make sure that's in place for those events going live right away. As far as SCARS, there will be no event fee for the next couple of months, for the first couple of months. So if you plan to use SCARS as your pre-registration system, there will be no fee. There will be credit card processing fees, but there will not be the additional event fee. That's been waived for a time. So it looks like the events that will need a budget going forward right away will be Coronation and Privy Council by Winter Mist. Queen's Champion by Gildenholt, Festival of Rose by Navaheim, and Crown Tourney by Denor. Those events will need a budget. Again, we can talk about variances. I know, we're all scrambling at the last minute, but those events are kingdom level events that are going to be required to have some kind of a budget that I will review. And please always keep in mind fundraising at every level. If you think of a good way that the kingdom can manage a fundraiser, we are all ears. We will be happy to hear about your ideas. Anything you can do. One of the biggest fundraisers that we have had over the past couple of years that we were actually functioning were the stinking snow cone sales. Those snow cones created a ton of money for the kingdom. So appreciative. They really helped. And the rapier community did a donut sale one morning at an event. They sold donuts and gave the proceeds to the kingdom, and it was a huge success. So no amount is too little. No event will be turned away. No idea will be turned away. We really want to hear all about it. Any questions about budgets?
We can't do any of those types of fundraisers yet because of COVID rules, right?
Granted. Right now we can't, but after June 1st, when we are back in, live, and
just frankly, as a correction, after June 1st, as of the current policy, we can't. Realize that policy is going to be changing regularly. So you can't plan for it now, but in the future that restriction will eventually go away. We just don't know when.
Right. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than we think. I think things are opening up at lightning speed, but we do have to follow the current guidelines. Which brings me to my next topic, and that's running gated events. And this is all based on our current guidelines. And as we all just discussed, they are changing quickly. And I believe we're going to have to be very flexible. I will publish changes as soon as I know about them. But we also have to remember that just because the society or the state doesn't require something, our guests wouldn't like to see that in place. So if you have a volunteer that's willing to work at gate, but they say, I'll do it, but I want gloves, we can accommodate that. If that makes them feel safe, we will absolutely accommodate that. We can't require it, but we can certainly provide it for those who would like to have it. So we will try to stay on top of things as best we can. And of course, we have to follow all of our state and local, also the site guidelines, park requirements, property owner requirements. We can't require COVID vaccination, but they might. And we can accommodate that. We can help them check for vaccine cards, but we can't require it. So again, if you have questions, contact Ross, contact me. We can discuss the current guidelines and figure out the best way to move forward for everybody. Keep everybody safe. So we can't require proof of vaccination, but if the site requires it, we can announce it, that the site requires vaccination in our announcements. The autocrats will have to come up with a plan to accommodate the site's requirements of checking vaccination cards. Masks are required that fully cover the nose. I think this is going to be our biggest battle. As officers of the SCA, regardless of what our personal opinion is, we are expected to enforce these guidelines. So please do your best. I know that the people at gate are going to be subject to the wrath of people coming to events. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel unsafe, call for backup. So that means all the seneschals out there, all the barons and baronesses out there, we're all going to have to band together and do our best to enforce these guidelines. And again, whatever our personal opinions are, that has to be set aside. And we enforce the guidelines that the SEA requires. So anyone over the age of 4, again, that's going to be very difficult for young children. We have to do our best. We have to be understanding. And it's going to be a challenge. We may supply masks and hand sanitizers or disinfecting wipes. We are not required to. So if someone would like to donate them to the gate folks, if the branch decides they want to provide them and they want to spend their money and buy them, that's cool. We can do that. We just simply can't require them. It has been said that no food may be handled, but at the town hall meetings, they made it fairly clear that it was presumably handmade food items that could not be shared or provided. So we may not have feasts, no donation lunches, no royal luncheons. However, we can supply bottled water. If it is sealed, factory sealed, we can supply bottled water. And we can actually hand that out. No camping events are allowed at our events. All of our events are to be held outdoors. It's easy for folks to forget that, it seems, that there still is a requirement that our events must be outdoors for now, with a maximum of 150 people in attendance. So I'm sure all of you have discussed this to the nth degree in your own groups, but I felt I needed to touch on it here real briefly. So now we get to the all events shall require pre-registration topic. So as the ruling came down from the society treasurer, the guidelines say that we must pre-register. It does not say we must prepay. Therefore, our plan to use a Google Doc or something similar for attendees at, say, a fight practice can log in, put their name on a Google Doc. That is pre-registering for that event. If it is an event with a fee, you can still do that and collect payment at the door. So we are following the guideline to pre-register, but not prepay if we don't want to do it that way. Go ahead, Nico.
When you say prepay, you mean prepay cash?
Prepay in any method. The SCARS is a prepayment. So you would log in, register for an event, make a payment at that time. You can't register without a payment on SCARS. But if you had a small event, baronial event with, say, you're expecting maybe 75 people, you could have them log into a Google Doc and pre-register and then take payment at the door.
I just want to add on the Google Doc, there will be a Kingdom Google Doc being distributed for use. It's currently in the works.
Go ahead.
So when we say pre-register, how much time in advance?
That's
Or
up to
does it
you.
matter?
That's up to
Okay.
you. What the society is requiring is that we have name and contact information such as cell phone or phone and email address for each person in attendance within the 150 limit. So if you cut off your pre-registration the night before, as long as their name appears on that list so that we know you're not on the list, you don't get in, that's the requirement. So on Saturday morning, I know who I can let into the event. Go ahead, Reginald.
So what occurred to me was a situation where someone pre-registers in the parking lot before they walk up to the gate.
You have to have a cutoff date so that your gate person knows who to let in.
So they have a list.
Okay.
Correct. In their hands that they can check off, this person showed up.
So
Very good.
is this due to COVID?
Yes, it's for contact tracing.
Okay. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. So this is not something permanent once we get past this. Because
Correct.
I'm thinking, you know, we're a small group and generally we have, unless it's a kingdom event, we'll have anywhere from, 5 to 20 people if we're really lucky. And the couple of those people sometimes on the larger side show up at day of event.
Right. And that's what they're trying to avoid. No more showing up at gate unannounced. So
Okay.
they have to have logged in and put their name on a list. And then when it comes time to open gate for that event, the gate person has a list of who they can let in. And they'll know if they need to collect money. If you've put a gate fee on the event, then they'll know if they have to collect money. But they must have that list in advance of the gate opening. All right,
Okay.
I'm trusting you guys to manage when that list is printed and it's final.
Okay.
I understand this is difficult, but
Good.
we're trying to comply with rules and give you as much flexibility as we can. We have to have a list set in stone when the event goes live. They cannot appear at the gate and pay and get in.
Also, it's going to be easier if you just make it straightforward from the beginning. Don't make any exceptions, because that's going to cause you problems if you do.
Right.
So I recommend you cut off at midnight the day before the event or something like that, whatever your policy is going to be.
Okay.
But we have to comply with collecting information before gate goes live.
Grace, did you have a question?
I did. I was going to put it in the chat, but this is only for events and not for fighter practices and other gatherings where we still have to have a list, right? But they
Yes.
could do it at that time, because we aren't going to get anywhere near 150 people for a fighter practice.
You still have to have the pre-registration even for a fighter practice.
But the cutoff could be, because we can check electronically, it could be like at start time.
At start time, if you really, if you can function that way, yes.
Okay. I just want to confirm, because there's a bunch of things that are getting started and we're struggling, right? So,
Everybody's struggling. We're all struggling, and we're trying to be flexible. We're trying not to make your life a nightmare. Believe me.
oh
But-
no, I might actually, for the first couple of events, we might do it the day before or 5 o'clock, just
There you
as
go.
a test it run to see how it goes.
There you go.
The
There you
good
go.
thing is that most people are actually making plans a little bit more right now. And if you get them in the habit of it, having an earlier cutoff gives you a little bit better idea of what to expect. And to be honest, some groups do have fighter practices that can reach up to 150. So getting everybody on the same page across the kingdom and getting them used to doing these things is really going to ultimately help you guys out as well.
It will. And frankly, I don't know how long these guidelines are going to be in place. We could go back to normal next week. We just don't know. But right now, the guideline is we can't have events until June 1st, and after June 1st, we have to do it this way. So bear with us. Help us fight this battle. And I know it's going to be difficult, especially for Exchequers, because we're the person sitting at gate, checking people in and doing the face-to-face, put your mask on or I can't let you in. So it's going to be hard. Pull your team together. Your seneschals and your exchequers are your heavyweights. They can, you know, really go to battle. So can the barons and baronesses. We've got to be a united front and get this done. I know it's difficult, but we're doing our best. Okay, moving on. Large events where you expect your attendance might be over 150 people. For instance, coronations coming up. We are mandated to use one of the pre-registration systems, and you have your choice of whether you choose to use PayPal or SCARS. We'll talk more about SCARS in a few minutes, but I highly recommend them. It cuts down a great deal on gate drama. If you haven't pre-registered, you know the rules, they were published. So I highly recommend them. Not as scary as they seem, but we do have to follow those guidelines for now. If your event does not have a gate fee, you do not need to use SCARS or PayPal. You just need the Google Doc. So take a careful look at your event and see where it fits best in the guidelines. Refund policy. Every branch must have their own refund policy. If you do not have a refund policy, we will assign the Kingdom refund policy to your events. So we have guidelines of ideas that you may want to consider in your refund policy. You design your own. Your refund policy can be, we do not give refunds. You simply must publish it. So some things to consider. Electronic registration systems, there are no electronic refunds. If someone has used PayPal or SCARS, they will have to submit a form and the group Exchequer will write them a check if their request is approved, of course. But you cannot get a refund to your credit card. So no electronic refunds. So that's something to keep in mind. That's across the board. There's nothing we can do about that. But you'll need to decide what information you need from your guests to create a refund. So some sort of form or something so that the Exchequer has what they need to write a check and send it to the right person and so on and so forth. How do you reach the Exchequer to request a refund? So all of that information is required. Whether you will have a refund processing fee. It isn't free for a group Exchequer to create a refund. It costs us money. We have to buy a stamp and an envelope and it takes their time. We have to buy the checks. We want to discourage people asking for refunds. So it should be nominal, but we recommend that you request a refund fee, processing fee. Electronic payment processing fees are not refunded. You can choose to cover those if your branch has lots of money. I don't recommend it. No one else, in business refunds the processing fees, so I recommend you do not offer that. Refunds will only be sent to the person who paid for the reservation or the registration. It causes a great deal of problems when you've paid for your buddy to get in and you wrote a check for both of you, but he's asking for a refund and you're not. And then who do we send the money to? You wrote the check, it was your money to begin with, but your buddy's asking for the refund. That doesn't feel right to the Exchequer. So we will only refund the person who made the registration. I recommend that policy. Saves a lot of drama and heartache and misunderstanding and confusion. Request must include a valid mailing address. After so-and-so date, all refund requests are processed at the discretion of the branch Exchequer and only for serious situations that would result in someone not attending the event. Give your Exchequer the authority to decide if that person's excuse for not attending is a good one. You don't want to get bogged down in all of this if you don't have to. If the branch Exchequer is feeling abused, then they can bump it up to you. But 9 times out of 10, that's not necessary. So give them the authority to make the decision to make a refund. No refunds will be issued for any reason after X date. Have a cutoff. We have to close out events. We can't keep them open on the books forever. There needs to be a deadline. And refund requests received by the Exchequer may not be processed until after the event. Exchequers don't always have time to get to the refunds before the event happens. Sometimes they need time after the event to do all the refunds. So by saying may not be processed, we're giving ourselves time. So it sets up an expectation. All right, any questions on that? Comments? And those are just guidelines. I will make those available. I believe they're already up on Teams, but I will double check to make sure that they are. But it is a requirement. You must have a refund policy. All righty, that's it for presentation number 4. It's 10:30. We're flying through these. I'm very pleased. Is everybody ready for another bio break, or we want to plow ahead? Bio break, thumbs up. No? All right, we'll keep moving. All right, so now we're going to talk about scars. And this is something that everybody has been longing to hear about. And just so everyone knows, SCARS stands for SCA Registration System. SCARS is a terrible acronym, but that's what we get. We tried to improve that, but everybody started using the word SCARS long before we could get it changed. So there we are. So for this portion, I'm going to turn it over to Kimmy. She is our Kingdom SCARS deputy. And she has been fighting a tough battle at the society level to get the process working the way we want it to. And I give her a lot of credit and a lot of thanks. She's really gone to battle. All right, Kimmy, it's all yours.
Well, I've tried. So it's here, and I guess we're going to try using it as soon as it goes live, which actually the module will go live on Monday. It won't have any events in it, but so there won't be any events listed until there are live events in there. So as you know, anyone who wants to use the system has to pass muster with our Kingdom Exchequer and be current in all their reportings and all that sort of thing. And again, there is that expense to consider. The SCA will retain 3% of the totals collected in the SCARS system. So when they send payment, it'll be minus that but they won't retain the NMR. The hosting Exchequer will still have to mail in NMR. So I thought we'd start by going right to showing you how, if any of you registered for Gulf Wars, you would have used this system. So I thought I'd show you actual registering for an event through the SCA portal. If someone could go ahead and share my screen.
You are co-host. You can share your screen now.
Let's see. Let's see what screen I got up there. Oh yeah, I think I got that right. Okay. So I could just go like that. Share screen. So here we are at the, this is the standard, the real SCA portal. And again, if you've done your membership, you would go up to membership services. Okay, and then manage membership. And it's going to, okay, and here we are at the sign in on the login sheet. And then, okay, whoops, if I go in here and go put in my membership number, and this is what you will see. And now in this case, there are no events. Event would appear in this, and it would also appear in this list. So I'll flop on over here and oh, look, here it is. And oh, we have events. This is the demonstration module. So I can go down here and look at my events. And here it will automatically pull up your kingdom. And then if you want to go to an event in another kingdom, you would go in here and hit on another kingdom and see other events, which you could then select the event details to process. So we will go up here back to, I created, these are all just test events. I created this one that has no registrations in it yet. I wanted to make sure it will work. And so you go in there and you'll see, and whatever information I'm given, you know, whoever's hosting the event will tell me what they want on these screens. These fees come right out of the system. So you don't have to repeat your fees. I don't upload those. That is straight from the system, but all these other words I've added. And
there is a request that you slow down just a little bit. Some people are trying to take notes.
Okay. Again, this is being recorded, and there will be, Mazel Society is developing cheat sheets on doing this, because we'll have to train the populace to do this as well. Now, one thing, and I would recommend to have on this, royals or comps cannot register through this system. Neither can people paying by check. If you're paying, and that's where you need to have that information that please do not, royals, do not register here. We say, please contact your royal liaison, and I'll have I can insert the actual links, email links. You know, you can say, if they want to pay, they can register here. Saying paying by check or money order, there will need a form they fill out. So I can link to a PDF that will have to be mailed in with a check to the local registrar or reservationist or Exchequer, or however you set that up. And and then once the royal liaison would then contact me, I will add them from the back end. The local hosting group would also contact me once the checks clear the bank, and I would upload those people to the list from the back end. I'm hoping in the future this could possibly change. So anyway, we will register for an event. I'm just going to go in and register myself. And I do not have, and this doesn't tell you whether or not this information is required, these fields, emergency contact. It's an issue. I know I set this up, I did not select that as required, but you can't tell that. And you wouldn't be able, it would look the same if it was required. I would recommend to always fill it out. And that way it won't hang up your registration process. And then here's what it is. It already knows my age, so it picked the proper fee for me. And then I added a lunch in here just as to show you if there are options. This is how it would look. And the more options, it would just be a bigger field. And say, I want to buy the lunch too. And then I can go straight to add it to the cart. And then again, it automatically fills in everything. And here you have, there's your payment types, PayPal or credit card. And I'm not going to use my credit card. Is that enough? And submit payment. Oh, did I not get enough cards? The ones in there. There. And this order, it tells you right here, this little box, there is the event, it's the order created. So that's something you might want to write down, is the order number. And this would be this way if you registered 5 people, and it all go in under your name and one order. And like that. And then you get that, you can print your information. You will be emailed a confirmation, as will the reservationist. The person, your registrar for your event, in the system, it's identified as a reservationist, and they're the ones who will receive the confirmation. So you'd want to let me know exactly who you want receiving the confirmations. So it tells you what you're registered for. And then I can go back to upcoming events, and I could register more. You can go into one I previously registered for. And here it tells me I'm already registered, so I can view that registration. And now I could go in and modify that one if I chose. I could add more people. I don't really want to go through that process again here, or at the same time, you can remove a person and it will then recalculate and may show you a credit due if you cancel someone. And in this system, part of the reporting feature will be, I can send cancellations to the event staff for them to issue refund checks. The individual, if they cancel in SCARS, does not have to notify the event staff. I will be generating that report. So that's pretty much that on the registration. Does anyone have any questions about that? You're muted.
Sorry, I muted, especially with the dog in the background. My question is, whose responsibility is it to enter the event to this? Is it the autocrats or the exchequers or?
It's mine. I'm the one who will be setting up each of the events for our kingdom. And so, I mean, this goes to the next
Okay.
thing I'm going to show. So we're,
I jumped ahead. I apologize. I'm just having some concerns because we have the event June, and I guess we're until my seneschal, we need something. Yeah, our event's like June 5th or and I'm trying to tell my seneschal we're going to need to get a Google Doc and people. Doesn't matter, we know everybody, but people are going to have to be on that list, and I'm just trying to make sure I understand this. I'm sorry.
well, I know that Kingdom is right now developing the Google form that people can sign up to come to an event or a fighter practice or meeting that can be used, because this I will need lead time. There's a processing time to, you know, like the event host would submit a form to me, and again, there's a little bit of process.
I
So
understand.
I won't be able to have anything in SCARS the
I'm
first.
sorry. I'm just jumping ahead because, like I said, we got an event coming up, and it's like, oh my gosh, we have, you know, we have 2 weeks to get
Mhm.
this sorted out, you know.
That you're going to use the Google form and just have people sign up to come
And
without payment.
where is that Google form at, or it?
The Google form is currently in development. It will be shared very soon.
Okay. Where will it be at, or
I will publish it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just like,
It's going to be published in multiple forums. It will be easy to find.
okay,
And there will be an instruction page with it and everything. So
okay. It's just, this is kind of short notice for our first event, and it's like, oh my God, how are we going? You know,
I
Oh, yeah.
understand. I understand.
It's been short notice for all of us.
and I'm not blaming. I'm just like, oh God, you know.
So here is the form we've
Okay.
created.
Aradonna has a question.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Aradonna.
Are we going to require a birth date for this to work? Because I see that as a nightmare, asking people to provide that.
You know, I thought the exact same thing. That birth date only appears in that system, and it is required because that is how they determine which fee you get. Each fee has, when I set up each fee, it's got an age associated with it.
Ah, okay. I'm fine if there's a reason
It
that I
does
can
not-
tell them.
I was quite concerned. It does not print anywhere else on any report. It doesn't show up anywhere but when they first read in the registration system.
All right, thank you.
So this is the form we've developed. It has all the information. The original came from corporate. So, you know, we need to know the hosting branch. They have requested that our event titles include the current year as well as a location. It doesn't have to be the kingdom, but it probably should be a barony or something identifiable. The list of events for me in the design module is going to get long, and I will need to be able to easily see which event is which. And it will help everyone else when they pull up their list of registrations. Because like right now, if you looked at all of my, I could go back and show, that's what I need to show. Let's see. Yeah, I want to go back. Here are all the events I've registered for. These are the ones here are the orders I've placed that I paid for. And then these are the ones I am a registrant on. And so you can see I've registered for a lot of events here, and some I wouldn't really remember where they are. You know, like, you know, bad. I have no idea what kingdom or any place that is. I know one of these is in Drachenwald. So you, that's where you want to name your event something people can identify. The reservationist, again, this individual will be the one who will receive the confirmations. And then your event Exchequer will be the one who receives the checks from corporate. So you want to make sure that's all accurate. And the financial committee of the branch hosting must have approved the use of SCARs, and we need the date of that approval because of the transaction fees that corporate retains. And this must be then signed by a seneschal.
Kimmy, can you show us the form?
Can you not see the form?
No, your form. The form that the branch will fill out and send to you with all the information that you need.
Okay, let me see. I thought you guys can't see the form?
No.
You are
Oh.
still sharing the screen showing the SCA registration site.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So you
okay.
need to stop sharing that first, and then you can share the other form as long as it's open.
Yes, 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 I see. It is.
So this
Oh,
form will be available to each of your groups. They will
Yes.
complete the form
This one.
and send it to Kimmy. She will set up the event in the system. And then she'll
There.
have everything she needs to get the money to whom it belongs.
Here's the form. I thought you were looking at it when I was talking about it.
I would suggest that you enlarge it though, because it is very small on the
yes.
screen.
Okay, that is quite doable. I will width there.
So what
Perfect.
I'm understanding is if people pay through SCARs, we will get the money via SCARs in a check form.
Yes.
Yes, corporate will mail up to 2 checks, only up to a maximum of 2 payouts from the SCARS system. The final payout will be, you will receive it within 2 weeks of the closing of registration in SCARS. But if you want a payment while it's still ongoing, then you specify that, and that is in this form. There's a place to specify the date of a first payment if you want more than one.
Okay.
But they only will pay out a maximum of twice. So it's not the same as when we were getting checks mailed to us on a regular basis as our registrations were open and such.
Kimmy,
So,
can you
anyway,
scroll
like event-
down?
Now,
Yes.
Scroll down so they can see the bottom of the form.
Well, here's a bottom of the form. So first is the first part that you need the title, the people. This is the part is most important, the upper part. And you need that financial committee and the seneschal. The rest, if you have it on another publication, a flyer, you can always just attach that to these, but I'll need the dates. And these dates, this is when the online registration, because you put your event dates up at the top of the form. This is for the online registration system to begin and end. And again, these are the times. If you want different times, you know, you would specify if, you know, for some reason, if you wanted to close at noon or something. I would also want to know the mail-in registration deadlines, because if you're taking checks, that should be printed on the event information, even though they're not registering in this system. And anything else, if you might have others, I can add other types of deadlines in there. Different cancellation dates, if you want it different than the registration dates. So you can specify. This is just gives you an idea of the information I need. But if you need more or less, here is the dates for the first SCARS funds reconciliation if you're requesting 2 checks. If you're only going to get 1 check that you receive 2 weeks after the this end date, then you don't need to fill anything out. And then here's your fee structures. Again, if you have it already on a table or something, you can just attach that. You don't even have to fill out this form. And whatever kinds of, whatever your event has, because you can add options. And again, this would be your lodging or your, you know, we can add camps, cabins, I mean, and feasts, any variety of options. And then I have the note here of what you can attach, you know, because at JPEGs, if you want your little graphics of your barony or little things, and then you'd submit this, and again, any attachments, this form to this email address, SCARS Deputy, and you CC our Kingdom Exchequer. It also on the back side has a lot of just useful information about SCARS and the deadlines. I mean, this says a minimum of 1 month, submit this form before you want the online registration to begin. Again, this is a work in progress. I'm sure I won't need that kind of time. So, you know, we need practice to know what to put because it's so new. And so just tell a little information about filling this out that should help you. Items to make sure you cover. And then camping groups, again, when we get to that, we'll deal with that. But those will have to be uploaded ahead of time from the back end. So I know at Great Western War, they're already developing a Google form to collect camp names for me to upload. And again, the site fee is being currently, I mean, the SCAR setup fee is currently being waived, and so that'll change. And just the information about what society keeps. NMR, well, again, will all have to be mailed just like we do now. And about checks and comps. And now we come to reporting. I will work with event staff and give them reporting whenever they need it. I will because I will have to generate those reports. So again, this is currently how the system is. We're hoping in the future, event staff could generate reports. But and this will also include your login books for Gate. But if you want intermediate reports, whether they're how much, what's been collected, I can produce a variety of reports. Unfortunately, I don't have any samples right now. I've tried some of their things, but they're basically data dumps into Excel spreadsheets. So that's pretty much it that I have on this. Any more questions? This form will be uploaded to where we I'm hoping to put it in the Exchequer Facebook files group, as well as it'll probably be on Teams and wherever else the kingdom keeps forms. I'll have them in my Google space, Google
Yeah,
Drive.
we plan to upload this onto the Kingdom website as well.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So did people have more questions?
Not at this time. I'm sorry you didn't mean to interrupt. It's just, like I said, that was kind of like, oh my gosh, scary.
I apologize, everybody. I just got a big old download and it's printing and I need to stop it. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Kimmy. That was a lot of information.
I would want to add that when you're registering for events, it will not save anything. If you do not complete the registration, you'll have to start over. If you run into any kind of feedback loop in the system, it's kind of glitchy sometimes. I mean, hopefully it won't be. They've really been working on it, but you would just log out and log back in. Otherwise it could drive you crazy.
And there
Honestly,
may be some,
that's not dissimilar to pretty much any other system that you wind up using. So I expect most people, like, I don't think our populace learning curve is going to be particularly steep.
Hopefully not now. You would be surprised how glitchy it was.
we've been using a demo.
Somehow
Copy.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
Remember, I actually had to deal with ASEPs and stuff like that.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
Okay, you know. I never did.
All right. So we plan to run some workshops that will be open to the general populace so that we can run through the registration for everyone. They can get a look at it. They can poke around at it. So, you know, we're not going to just spring this on everybody, but as Kimmy mentioned, this is all new to us as well. And she has been at a dead run getting familiar with the system and fixing bugs and patching leaks and all kinds of stuff. So bear with us. We will announce those near and far for everyone who wants to log in and watch us register for events and get a look at the system. It's, I think, going to make our lives a lot easier in many respects. So, but it is not the perfect answer for all events, and we don't expect that to be the case. It's just a good answer for a lot of events. Okay. Moving forward, I'd like to talk about PayPal right now. This is our secondary registration system. It is also a solution for pay at the door. So for SCARs, it only works if you're paying in advance. So you log in, register for an event, and then you can cancel. You manage your own account. If you need to cancel one person in your party or add one more person to your party, you control all of that, and you can do that on the fly at your own convenience. But for payments at the door, our option is PayPal. For touch-free payments at the door, we can always take cash. Again, that's, you know, our volunteers get to decide how they want to handle cash at gate, whether they need PPE. That's for your discussion with them. But if you want to offer touchless payments, if you want to offer credit card payments, then PayPal is our deal. And it's a very good system that's widely used across the SCA. There is a processing fee for all credit card transactions. And at this current time, the amount of the transaction fee being discussed for PayPal is 2.3% plus 30 cents per transaction. So if you have a guest at gate paying for 4 people on one credit card transaction, it will be 30 cents plus 2.3% of the total. If that makes sense. All right. The system is called PayPal Here. We are restricted to, we must have a card present to run a PayPal transaction. We are not approved to do the new QR scan system at this time. PayPal has a very nifty QR system where you use your cell phone and you scan a QR code and you charge it to your PayPal account and you walk away. It's really brilliant. We are not approved for that system. We have to have a physical card on hand. We may not key in the credit card number. We must either slide or scan a chip or tap the actual credit card. So this means that Exchequers at gate really don't have to handle the card. They just make it available for the guest. They would key in the transaction. The guest would tap, slide, or insert their card. We would approve the transaction. They would sign it, and we're good to go. And then the Exchequer can use a disinfecting wipe to wipe the screen, or however we want to do that, and we move forward. So there are some concerns about this using PayPal. We have to have internet or cell connection at the site where it's being used. Not all sites have that. So it's something that has to be looked in before we announce the event. We have to have the hardware, which the Kingdom does not own at this time. We intend to purchase some hardware and make it available on loan. If groups want to purchase hardware, they can purchase the hardware. It must be owned by the group. It must be manufactured by PayPal. We may not use any other hardware. So let's see, I don't want to miss anything. So let me go back to my notes here. You must use the Kingdom's PayPal account. You may not use an account set up by the branch. Answering Rourke's question, yes, the use of SCARS is optional. You may use PayPal. If you expect less than 150 people, you may use the Google Docs sign-in process. So much like the SCARS policy, if your group decides they want to use PayPal, there will be a form. You fill in the needed information on the form. You send that to the PayPal deputy, who is Mr. Tommaso currently, and he will enter your event into the system. And then we will have authorized Exchequers who are trained to use the PayPal system. Those authorized users will have unique login credentials assigned to them. So they have to go through training and they will be authorized. They will be trained to use the hardware and the software. So that is for a PayPal Here at the gate payments when they are allowed. Hardware must be purchased through PayPal. the transaction must go through the approved authorized Exchequer. We can accept PayPal for pre-registrations through the invoicing system, as we have done for years with Great Western War. That is still a process that is available for events. I think we're all fairly familiar with the invoicing process. How do we get Caid authorized for the QR use? We cannot at this time. It is not approved at the society level. Yeah, we just don't get to do that right now. We can use PayPal for heraldic submission. That is another kind of unique process that we will set up with the exchequers who work with the Herald's office. Those will be authorized users. They can use the invoice or the PayPal here solutions to accept payments. So they will need to decide when each would be most useful. If the Heralds are going to accept PayPal at an event, they must advertise in advance. So please do talk to me. We'll make sure that all the appropriate advertising happens if you want to, for instance, take credit cards at Great Western War. We can use PayPal for sales. So if your group would like to offer known world handbooks at gate, a guest could pay their gate fee and purchase a handbook at the same time during the same transaction. So if you would like to, if you're having a fundraiser and you're selling belt favors and you have them at gate, that can be included as part of their gate fee. If we want to sell ice, we can include that on the transactions. We can make separate transactions. So PayPal here is very flexible, but it does take advanced setup.
La Serena had a question, and so did Camilla.
Have Camilla go first. Camilla,
Yes,
you ask first, please.
a branch can use PayPal here for fundraising, yes. We can accept donations also. There is a really neat feature where you can put a PayPal button that appears on your branch webpage, and they can click, members can click the button and make a donation right on your webpage.
We need that. We need that.
It's really cool. So I have talked with our Kingdom webpage folks about setting that up. They're pretty up to their eyeballs in other changes right now. So it's going to take some time before we get to that stage, but eventually we will be able to accept donations. And if you have a person standing in front of you at gate and they say, I want to give $20 to the Barony, you can accept that right there with their gate fee. So donations can be accepted with gate fees. Just remember that there is that transaction fee and a processing fee. So the card, 2.3% plus 30 cents. So it's expensive to use PayPal, but a lot of people will pay it gladly to be able to use their credit card and not carry cash. So this is something that Caid has not used in the past. So we have very little familiarity with it, except those of us who travel out of Kingdom who have used it at other events. They take it, they do it all the time. It just isn't tradition. It isn't custom here in Caid, and I'd like to see that change. I'd like to assure everyone that your data is safe, even if the branch Exchequer is using their cell phone to run the transactions. Their cell phone captures no data. It is not captured by the cell phone. It is encrypted through the device directly to PayPal. So be assured that it is secure. And this is tried and tested across the known world. So again, NMR fees are not withheld from your event income. So you will still be responsible to calculate NMR fees and pay those off to the kingdom separately. We do not
Okay.
withhold those from event income.
I think
Go ahead.
Serena still had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Back to the, when you're making a sale, say of a book, incorporated with your registration fees, be sure to mention to the Exchequers that they need to keep track of that separately because it's
absolutely.
reported separately.
Absolutely. This is record keeping that you should be aware of. When you have folks at gate, you mark adult versus child gate fees. You're marking, we sold them a book or we sold them a popsicle. You need, record keeping doesn't change. Reporting is necessary. Because this is a new system, all of those forms don't exist. You need to create your own report form. In the PayPal training, we will be training authorized users how to figure out the processing fees and transaction fees, making sure those are included, how to report all of the things that you're selling. So that is going to be a part of the training when that goes live. And again, taking baby steps here, starting a new system always requires some wrapping your head around some new policies and habits, and it's coming. So we have no authorized users right now other than Tommaso in the kingdom, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a lot of ground to cover. So bear with us. But this is a really useful tool. I get asked for this all the time. People are begging to be able to use their cell phone or their credit cards rather to make payments. So I really think this could make it easier for us to collect cash, and touching fewer things is always a good thing. On the sales tax issue, if you have questions, contact me privately, please.